Greetings. In today's video, I decided to talk about a certain series that I have been a fan of for a good amount of time, and that is Shinza Bansho, aka Masadaverse. Now, if you're not aware of what this series is, which sort of makes me question why I even clicked on this, regardless, we will get into the nutshell before we get into the main theme of this video. Now, before we start with the same nutshell, I must warn you that there will be massive spoilers. Well, obviously. Now, the Masadaverse is a series of visual novels written and done by Takashi Masada. There are a total of 5 games written by him: Paradise Lost, Dies Irae, Kajiri Kamui Kagura, Soushu Shenzikan, and finally the recent game that sadly got cancelled, called Dies Irae Pantheon. And we will get to that game later on in the video, since it is quite, well, related to the main theme, specifically speaking. Now, we also have to head on to the fact that Shenzikan series is a separate franchise that has nothing to do with Shinza story-wise, and follows a mythology based upon the collective unconscious of mankind, and on the dream world of Kantan, while the other visual novels have a totally different theme, and revolve around a totally different sort of a mythology, so to speak. Now, talking about every single of these visual novels specifically, again, would kinda be pointless. Heading on to the fact that the main theme of this video is what happened to the franchise and why did the last game, aka Dies Irae Pantheon, got cancelled, and what is this breakup in the fandom and in the series itself. So, now we're going to talk about what happened to the series and why did its development stop. So, the author company of the entire Shinza Bansho series is called Light, and its mother company is Greenwood. So, on the March 30th, 2019, Greenwood, whom, as previously mentioned, is the parent company of the well-known visual novel brands Light and Campus, announced the closure of the company. So, Greenwood had invested heavily into the upcoming visual novel series Dies Irae Pantheon, the next chapter in the popular Shinza Bansho series. Unfortunately, 2 developers that had signed up to co-develop the game had to bow out due to the different circumstances. One quit due to the cash flow reason, the other due to bankruptcy, and Greenwood's quote-unquote energy reached its limit, causing the team to disband. So, now that this happened and that Greenwood and Light disbanded, so did Dies Irae Pantheon. It was cancelled as a project. But members of the development team, that includes Takashi Masada of Dies Irae Pantheon, are aiming to complete the game no matter what, and are asking other companies are they interested in the project to reach out to. Now, there is a support link on one of their sites. So now they're trying to find some company that wants to continue the development of this game. So having in mind of all of this, we can obviously say, as the person in the tweet stated, that Dies Irae Pantheon is not a small project and it cannot be just thrown away like that. It would be simply a shame to throw something that has such a gigantic potential in it. Heading on to the fact that when Dies Irae Pantheon was even in its development stages and videos on YouTube aired about it, popularity of Masadaverse actually started to rise up, and you could notice that even on Twitter and any other social media actually. But regardless, yes, these were mostly Japanese fans, but there were some of the English fans as well. Now, the problem is, will any company adapt these writers and workers that were in the Team Light? Writer of the entire series, Takashi Masada, mentioned on Twitter that the team is going to struggle as much as they can to make the game happen, even if he could not promise that they will be successful. It has also been stated that the announcement continues explaining that development teams belonging to both Light and Campus are very talented. They will continue their work independently while holding on to their brand as well. Now, having all of this in mind, it is obvious that while this company is disbanded temporarily, the series will obviously lose its reputation and potential. Well, in some perspective. But the key problem is that while the company is disbanded, none of the works that have been already released will be translated, which is quite bad indeed. For example, the famous Kajiri Kamui Kagura, which is a visual novel that has a huge part in the series itself, has not been translated yet, even though being made in like 2011, around that time. Now you could also mention, well, so what? I mean, Daizire was translated 10 years after its release. That is true, and you indeed have a point, but now since the company is disbanded, and can we even expect Kajiri Kamui Kagura to be released on PC and Steam and translated as well anytime soon actually? My answer to that is obviously no. Of course, we still need to wait to see what will happen with the company members. Now, although Takashi Masada has promised this, I mean, in another perspective as well, we cannot be guaranteed that the company will rebuild itself and that the Aziri Pantheon will continue its direct development. So, if you're not known into Masadaverse well, and you're not aware that what Kajiri Kamui Kagura is, essentially it represents an extremely important part in the series itself. Especially if we head on to one of the characters that is actually one of my favorite ones, and that is Hajun. Everything about Hajun and everything him included in the story and having his hands mixed in it is in KKK, aka Kajiri Kamui Kagura. Don't get messed up with that. Anyways, it is quite of a important thing to know that without Kajiri Kamui Kagura, it's a big hole in the middle of the entire series. Because without it, you will not understand Hajun as a character at all. You will not understand how the throne works, how the Hadou gods, what Hadou gods even are, what their laws do, what Taikyoku is. I mean, of course, I don't know, on versus battles there is an explanation to it, but in the visual novel, it's much more, let's say, interestingly and well in-depth explained, and how it entirely works, along with the previously mentioned laws of the Hadou gods. Now, to the people that don't know what all of this stuff is and that haven't read even Daizire, it is all confusing, but as I stated, the spoilers here are massive. Well, also I would add on to the fact that, surprisingly enough, I'm one of the rare people that actually took notice of all of this happening. Now, I do not brag on anything that I did something special. I'm just saying that not many people did even care what happened. I mean, they all just let go of this series, not even giving a crap anymore after it got cancelled, quote unquote. But you know, what can I say? I cannot exactly blame them. But again, one thing is surprising to me is again, not many people really reacted too badly to it, except for like on Twitter or something. Okay, enough with that. As we stated about Kajiri Kamui Kagura not being translated, it is not the only thing that we will, well, sort of miss, since it is temporarily a really small chance of it getting translated. We also have Paradise Lost and Shinzi Kan that are not translated. And I've heard that Paradise Lost and the Shinzi Kan series are both really interesting. Now, and I guess power skill wise or whatever, Shinzi Kan is under like Hado standards and Gudo and stuff. But okay, let's not get into that right now. Now, I would have to mention that about the Masadaverse fandom. In my opinion, it is kinda, well, how to call it? It's kinda splitted around everywhere. I mean, there is a fandom of it on versus battles, on Twitter. Well, on Twitter it's mostly Japanese fandom. And also there is a server on Discord, I presume. But other than that, the fandom is sort of small. This is for obvious reasons. I mean, most of the visual novels of this aren't translated, so they aren't available to the English readers and outside of Japan. But inside of it, it still is quite popular and beloved by the Japanese fans. Also, about Kajiri Kamui Kagura again, heading back onto that, there is a gameplay of it on YouTube. One of the really nice Japanese visual novel YouTubers made a gameplay of it, but, well, it's on Japanese. There is no subtitles or anything, so you cannot understand anything in it. But, of course, I do not blame the author of the videos. I mean, it's nothing to be actually blamed of. And he would have to also translate the entire visual novel, which is like translating an entire book, if he was adding it all into the subtitles and stuff, if you get what I mean. So yeah, I've heard people like, oh yeah, you don't need to read it, you can just watch gameplay of it that's on Japanese and watch the pictures. Well, that is not the brightest idea. I mean, I did watch some of the parts of it. I've seen Hajun getting wrecked by Havaki and stuff, but other than that, everything else I need a translation for to understand what the hell is even happening. I don't know some things out of it, but the main factors inside of the story, I have no idea what's going on in Kajiri Kamui Kagura at all. Now, I do understand some, like, what is the main plot revolving around, but the specific details, I don't know about them in any case or matter at all. No, however, it is not true to say that not anything from these visual novels is not translated. In fact, there are several YouTube channels that have translated several parts of these visual novels that are not translated. The most famous one, and the most recommendable one indeed, would be Visual Novel World. Now, he translated even the parts of Daisire Pantheon, and also the parts of Kajiri Kamui Kagura. So I definitely recommend you to check him out. His channel is quite cool, and has some interesting videos and stuff. So yeah, check him out as well. The link to him will be in the description, along with the another channel that I mentioned a little bit ago in this video that made that filmed the entire like Kajiri Kamui Kagura gameplay. So yeah, if you're interested into that, you can check him out as well. Now, throwing aside everything that happened to Light Greenwood, the fall of the company, and the series getting temporarily paused in development in some perspective. I mean, the development is still being done in between the private works. And when we mention this, it should also be kept in mind that development of this series is not totally over, and it didn't all go into the abyss. So we should consider the fact that the Masadaverse is not dead, neither as a fandom, neither as a series. Developments are still being done in private works, and who knows, maybe some company does indeed adapt the developers from the Light team, and the series continues on. Now, I wanted to mention as well, with the fandom of Masadaverse topic, we would have to say and admit that, again, the fandom of this entire series is quite splitted everywhere. I mean, you have it on different social media, but it is quite, again, not in a one place, conclusively speaking. I mean, I don't know. Well, I wanted to, let's say, quote unquote, promote a Masadaverse amino. Now, of course, I know it is kinda dumb promoting stuff in this context, but, you know, I wanted to bring more people to that amino that are fans of Masadaverse, so we could have more people in one place, specifically, that are fans of this series. And if you're interested, which I hope you are, because I want to see all of the Masadaverse fans back in one specific place, so we could see like chats, we can chat with each other, you can post different sort of things, you can post quizzes, polls, you can even post your drawings and everything. Amino in general is quite of a nice app, if you ask me. I mean, other than its updates are sometimes kind of shit. Anyways, I really recommend it, and I hope you take the choice to join us. The link will be down below, and in fact the staff is quite nice. We will be sure to welcome you very well, and you may as well meet quite nice people in the fandom and discuss Masadaverse in general. Learn even some new information about the series. If we actually if we even get some Japanese fans that have read Kajiri Kamui Kagura, it can give us some backup info on it. Well, I don't know if that should be called spoilers, but whatever. Again, the link to that as well will be in the description below. I hope you take the choice to join us. Other than that, I think that's enough for this video. I know it's like my first thing I ever made on my channel, but yeah, this will not be the only thing I will be making on here. Expect some more Masadaverse related videos and probably some other visual novel related videos. It's probably gonna be even some power scaling, I don't know, we will see. You can tell me in the comment section as well, what do you want to see on my channel, and you can also tell in the comment section your opinions on everything that has been happening to Masadaverse, and I will be quite grateful to see these comments and read them and see that the fandom, again, as I mentioned, is still alive. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.